What's up everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs. This episode, like I promised last time, going to be talking a lot about Lovecraft, which means that I'm probably not going to narrate the passages for a bit, like I usually do, because when I get on a roll with Lovecraft it tends to just kind of snowball out of control, and I might not want to stop to read passages. By the way, let me know if that's getting too annoying or something. I know some people really dislike when Let's Players read lengthy blocks of text out, and I kind of waver back and forth on that. My thoughts are that some people kind of watch and tab in and out of the video while doing other things. I certainly consume LPs like that a lot of the time. Like if I'm playing a game or doing laundry or writing, I'll throw something on in the background. So narrating can kind of help in that circumstance. Plus, I don't want to just go silent for 30 seconds while the text pops up. And it's blind, so unlike the Antonio journals and Bayonetta, I can't really summarize them real quick. And I don't want to talk off topic while you guys just read text, because that can be distracting. Except for when I do it in this episode, because there's no way I can get through everything I want to say about Lovecraft and his influence on this game without doing that. So I don't know. If you want me to stop reading in general, just let me know in the comments, and I won't read them anymore. Otherwise, we'll just keep going like normal with that. So as for Lovecraft, both of the Amnesia games seem to draw pretty heavily from Lovecraft's philosophy and his archetypes and his influence. Some others, like some stories more than others, seem to be pretty running influences on the games, like The Outsider and Shadows at a Time were big influences in The Dark Descent, and then especially Mountains of Madness was pretty much the entire basis for Penumbra. Speaking of which, I recently read through Ian Colbert's graphic novel adaptation of Mountains of Madness recently, and it's pretty good. I'm still hoping for that Del Toro project Insane to find a new publisher. Too many Lovecraft-based games tend to get canceled, and that was going to be a Lovecraftian sandbox. And if you know anything about Del Toro, he himself is a big Lovecraft fan. He was actually, for the longest time, he's been slated to make a movie adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness, which I want to see badly, because I love Del Toro. I'm still sore over Cyclopean getting canceled, and that was like 3 years ago, so I hope Insane still finds some legs. Anyway, to give you an idea about how much the Frictional guys really dig Lovecraft's work, their 3D engine, the engine that they use for all their games, is called the HPL engine, the Howard Philip Lovecraft engine. And I haven't seen too much of his influence manifest in Pigs so far, except for the whole element of the expedition going awry that's been brought up a few times. There is kind of this transhumanist vibe that's been present in a few of Lovecraft's stories that's also present here. The expedition, though, is a pretty common trope in Lovecraftian fiction, where an intrepid expedition will set out into some distant continent. The more remote, the better. They'll have some dreadful experience that leads them to spiral this well of darkness, usually brought on by unearthing some kind of arcane object or artifact or piece of knowledge, the implications for which invoke one of Lovecraft's favorite themes, which is this existential horror in the form of, I think, a term that he coined, Cosmicism. This idea that there are things out there so vast in comparison to us that the mere fathoming of their incomprehensible presence is enough to drive men mad. And how we have this carefully constructed view of reality, constructed in such a way that we suppress the terrifying the nature of how reality is actually so alien to us, trying to get the fuck. So alien to us that it would shatter our psyches to even try comprehending it. And these elements of fragility and isolation, and how humanity is basically powerless in the grand cosmic scheme of things, like totally helpless as a species. it relies on your imagination a lot to do the legwork, which is a really clever, ingenious trick if you think about it. That's pretty much at the beginning of how his most famous work starts out. And some people argue that the case of Charles Dexter Ward or Mountains of Madness is the more famous of the three, but I don't buy that shit for a second. Think of how deeply Cthulhu as an entity has penetrated into pop culture. People who have never read a Lovecraft story have at least heard of Cthulhu in some way. And Call of Cthulhu is the only story in which he is completely central. Like, he's mentioned, or he has some kind of presence in other stories like the Dunwich Horror and Whisper in Darkness, stuff like that. But Call of Cthulhu is the one where he is straight up driving the conflict forward. And I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Sorry, it tends to happen. Anyway, I was saying Call of Cthulhu basically lays out in its opening paragraph the entire framework of Lovecraft's Cosmicism and everything that has aped or been inspired by Lovecraft since, including this series of games. And it starts out, the most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all of its contents. We live on a placid isle of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. The sciences, each straining in their own direction, have hitherto harmed us little. But someday, the piecing together of such dissociated knowledge will open up such terrifying vistas of reality and of our frightful position therein that we shall either go mad from the revelation or flee from the light into the peace and safety of a new dark age. Is that not the greatest opening to a horror story ever? Fuck! If that opening paragraph was anything else, anything at all, this would only be like my 5th or 6th favorite Lovecraft story. That opening makes it. That is one of my favorite openings to anything. Oh, Lovecraft is so awesome. It's a real shame about how the man was such an unapologetic racist. But that's okay. You don't have to like the man or his personal beliefs in order to appreciate his craft, even though the two often intertwine. The thing that is so mystifyingly terrific about Lovecraft is because of the basis of what his horror is, it plays so well with what actually instills fear in us. And part of that goes to the philosophy in horror fiction of, again, don't show too much of the monster too often, where you have to find the right balance. But Lovecraft's monsters, his ghoulies, are just straight up incomprehensible. Again, a really clever trick on his part. They're on such a different level to us that we literally cannot comprehend them. The idea of such a being is awesomely horrific. Think about ants, right? I know I have this weird fixation on ants, but just think about them, right? Imagine what we 6 foot tall, give or take humans, are to them. We are even less to these cosmic beings of Lovecraft's mythology than ants are to us. That's a scary thing to consider. That there could be something out there like that in the background of the universe. Something so vast in comparison to what we are. And then there's the idea that one day our own curiosity is going to unearth something so awful that it's going to wipe us out. There's an entire scientific field dedicated to studying how we're approaching the point where we, due to our own advancements, are likely to self-exterminate as a species, as a civilization. That's the other thing. They aren't straight up monsters or gods or anything like that either. That's just the best metric we have for placing them within our own horribly insufficient schemas of reality. They are just indifferent to the affairs of us, beings that are so beneath them. Beings that aren't some omnipotent gods, but merely beings that are so vast that it's unconscionable to notice their workings. And that's probably all really off topic for Amnesia, but like the point I'm trying to make here is the games borrow pretty heavily from that. They tap that well of inspiration regularly, but you can still see the differences. They hit some of those tropes and those archetypes and stuff, but the scale is different. The scope is a lot more narrow and focused. Like, the events of the Dark Descent really only center on Castle Brennenburg and Agrippa, and you get background on the expedition and stuff, and Daniel and Alexander in the Shadow. And the monsters are less like unyielding cosmic entities and more just like garden variety evil and monsters. But then where they get back on track with that element of cosmicism are the implications of like the rituals, what the orbs allowed Alexander to do, the experimentation, that stuff, and the portal at the end, like what the portal was actually allowing, what the portal was actually leading up to.
Your vision, Professor. It is an iron coffin that keeps you from grasping the future.
The monsters and the bulk of the game are kind of sandwiched between the most heavy influences of Lovecraft, which are the backstory with the expedition and whatnot, and the other side being the far-reaching cosmic implications of what Alexander had cooking up at Castle Brennenburg. One thing that I have to say that I am not liking so far is that I haven't really been feeling threatened so far. I know I've been talking about, like, don't show too much of the monster, but again, it's a balance. You have to show just enough that you have to threaten the player with that monster, whatever it may be. You don't want to show it too much and desensitize the player to it, but it has to be kind of lurking in the back of the player's head. The one thing that they're really falling flat on right now is, again, the threat of the monster. It's good technique not to show too much of it, but you have to threaten and tease it enough that you're constantly worrying about being attacked. And I've gone so long without that happening now that I've stopped worrying about it. So the only things they have left to spook me with are jump scares and creating tension in the atmosphere, which granted they're doing, but I haven't been remotely threatened, which if I was, I'd basically be shitting myself right now. And to be fair, this whole episode, I've kind of ruined the atmosphere for myself because my eyes have been glazed over and I've kind of just been autopiloting through the game while going off on this gigantic rambling spiel about Lovecraft. So like the atmosphere would be doing more things for me right now. I think that's probably it's out of place, so it's probably a puzzle element. The atmosphere would be doing more things for me right now if it wasn't for that. I mean, the only time so far this episode where I've really been kind of spooked or startled was when... oh, shit. Just as I was getting ready to say that, the organ starts up and kind of got me. The only other time was when I was on the second step of that fueling puzzle and the pigman started running across the rafters. I was kind of temporarily freaked out that he might run down the stairs at me, but that's the most they've done to really threaten that so far. And I know I'm not terribly deep into the game, but it seems like by now they probably should have thrown him a little bit more in my face to really get me on edge and really push me over that edge actually. And I need to take a breather for a second. I am actually exhausted with that talk. Oh my god, it's a crucified pig. I really have to give the game credit, though, because, I mean, I can't give it enough credit for this, for the imagery being so good, so much better than The Dark Descent. And yeah, I can start actually reading these over now. Some kind of mechanism, a secret and infernal one, no doubt. The missing candlestick is clearly the answer, but why? This I cannot fathom. Why hide secret machines in place of a prayer? And where are the faithful? Why are there drag marks about the altar, as if someone was pulled away? I didn't notice those marks. I'm gonna have to go back through at some point and actually, off camera, read through the diary entries. Well, these doors do open. Wasn't expecting that. What about this one? That's locked. So I probably need the candlestick to unlock that one. At some point, I'm going to have to go back through off camera and read through all the diary entries that I didn't take a careful look at this time, just so I'm not going into the rest of this blind and uninformed. Because my eyes, again, when I get into like a more lengthy discussion about something, my eyes tend to glaze over and I can't really pay attention, so I've just been autopiloting through the episode. And this... Luckily, the journal entries haven't been too important because they seem to just function as hints, and the puzzles have been pretty easy so far, so looks like all I need to do with this is bring it back over here. And turn it. Okay. So did that make the lever unlock? Yeah, it probably did, because I can't unlock this door still. Ugh. Hate the pigs. The fire's burning now. The engine fires, the flames are stoked. I hear steam in the walls, vibrations upon the very air. My heart falters at the prospect of throwing the lever and exposing the workings of this dark contraption, but my children beckon me on and I cannot fail them. Who has time to write all this stuff down? My children are in grave danger. Let me chronicle this in my diary. Ooh. It appears I have no choice. Thus I descend, and may God have mercy upon my soul. If this is my bedlam, and I am to be cast as Matthews, then I will wear that mantle for the sake of my boys and face whatever horrors lie beneath the altar. Man, these children are not worth this shit. We can have more children. This is Nope if I've ever seen it. But we continue down. God, am I going into the sewers? Are there going to be invisible monsters waiting for me down in the sewer? Sewers? And yeah, now I'm starting to feel the threat of the monster a little bit more. Maybe it's just because for like the past 15 minutes I haven't been paying super close attention while I kind of ramble on. Okay. I feel okay about this, I think. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't feel okay about this. God, something hidden under rags again. Oh, you're shitting me. Do not startle or upset the acquisitions. So no sudden movements, right?
Listen, Papa.
Shut up. Didn't you read the sign?
You can hear the sea.
Don't startle the acquisitions, demon children. Oh God, I know it's coming too. Oh my God, please stop blinking. Oh, I don't like this. Is the blinking gonna startle it? Yeah, I mean, I still don't quite feel the threat of the monster, but at least now that I've kind of chilled out with the talking and gone back to my normal, calmer, subdued approach to this commentary for this playthrough, and I'm getting more engrossed in the atmosphere again, that's at least bringing the tension back, so willing to cut a little slack for that. Fuck. Yeah, it's amazing how startling things can be when you're listening out for things instead of talking about how awesome Lovecraft is. And I love Lovecraft. Can't start with him again. What exclamation is this? What rotten fruit? What bestitching of parts? I doubt I will ever be found, yet I leave you this, scrawled in the malodorous half-light whilst my tormentor shuffles below, my fellow prisoners keen and squeal in the gloam, where I wait for the knocking upon my cage that signifies it is finally my turn to make that dark journey into the interior. Oh man. The game just picked up with the fear pretty heavily. Man, my shoulders are like crazy tense right now. This is what I've been waiting for all game so far. Oh my God, please stop blinking. Fuck! Ooh. I spoke way too soon about not being threatened with a monster. Heart is pounding, hands are shaking. Oh, why is my luck always so bad with that stuff? Oh god, I know what this is. I know exactly what this room is. Oh, fuck me. The same episode I bring up that they aren't threatening the monster enough. I can't see more than like 3 feet without the light. To be expected. God, and the shadows moving in my periphery are just catching my eye in really bad ways. And the silhouettes of the barrels, everything looks like it. It's a dead end. I'm trying to map this out mentally because I know I'm gonna have to like do some backtracking through here or something. It's laid out like some kind of relatively simple maze. So I'm gonna wind up being chased through it and wind up in dead ends. That's what I think this room is. I've already messed the layout of the maze up, so I don't have a lot of confidence about this. Does it blink whenever I'm near the monster? I'm listening for it. Does it... Fuck, there it is. Just run, just run, just run. Now watch. Anything? Yeah, does it blink when it's nearby, like the radio static in Silent Hill? Is that what's going on? Is it still over here patrolling? Yeah. Yeah. It's not the most reactive thing in the world. Damn, how do I get around it? Can I go around this way? No, these are the stairs that I came in through, right? Yeah. Please don't notice me. Please stop. Oh, shit, it's coming towards me. Shit. Shit. Okay, this is how I get around. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's right behind me. Fuck. Fuck, fuck. Oh my god, run. Just run, just run. Just don't stop running. Oh, god. There's a door. Is it behind me still? No, it just gave up. That whole moment could have probably been better underscored by a little bit of music, but guess not. Ooh. I'm gonna tempt fate here since I'm right next to the door anyway, lest it just spawns behind me. Like a prick. Poke my head out and see if it's still patrolling around in this corridor. Okay, that's enough tempting fate. Ooh, that was pretty intense. That's what I've been looking for. And so to the stoking. The fog will not lift, the ship is becalmed. Everyone lies in the half-light, waiting to drown in the dry air. He is the paperweight that ballasts them. He is the paperweight that ballasts them. Ballasts? Oh, this looks worse than the last room. Dingy and dusty basement. Nope. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.